Welcome to Inspiring Possible. I'm Christy Pennison, former stuck person turned therapist and dream consultant. Are you feeling stuck, overwhelmed, uncertain, or just need a little inspiration? Then I want to help you gain the clarity, confidence, and courage to create possibilities and live a life you love. Because folks, life's too short to be miserable. Hey there. Welcome back to the Inspiring Possible podcast, folks. Today, we're going to dive into a deep topic. What is it? What do you think? Well, it's kind of a deep topic because it's something I think we all will struggle with at some point in life. And it goes real deep, like the roots of my oak tree that's in front of me right now. You know, this thing, I don't know if I've told you all this, but I have this huge, massive oak tree. God knows how long it's been alive, probably a long time. Okay. It's seen a lot of people. It's seen a lot of things, seen a lot of animals. It's been through a lot of weather, and somehow it's still standing. And I think this oak tree, its roots have to go deep because that's the only way it can go big and wide and tall like it does. And so today we're going a little bit deep, kind of like this oak tree over here, because the topic we're going to be talking today is discovering your purpose. What does it mean to live with purpose? How do you figure out what the heck you're meant to do on this planet? And sometimes if you ever felt lost or like you're not sure what path to take, then this episode is for you. Hang on in there. We're going to talk about some purpose and we're going to dig into it together. So thanks for coming back to the show. Today is going to be just me. We have some awesome guests coming up on the show in the next few weeks. But this is a topic that I feel like a lot of the guests has just been coming up from some of the people that I've interviewed a lot lately. And I've actually been getting some emails and requests about people that are in life transition and they're just trying to figure out, redefine what purpose is for them. And how do they find their purpose? You know, back in the 90s, there was this book that came out that was real all the rage, okay, in the communities and circles that I ran into. And it did have a belief, like a Christianity belief basis. So I do want to disclaim this when I talk about this book. But I think this can be applicable regardless of what your belief system is. But it was called The Purpose Driven Life. Okay. What on earth am I here for? And let me tell you, folks, this book sold so many copies. So many people just were like, I got to find my purpose. And what is my purpose? And so the reason why I highlight, and this book was by Rick Warren, and I actually really appreciated this going through these exercises as a teenager because I'm actually looking at the book that I pulled off the shelf. I don't know if this was the original version, but it was 2002 copyright, The Purpose Driven Life. And I think that what was cool about this book is that from a perspective of a creator, that we were sent down here for a reason. And you may not believe that, but that's okay. That's what the belief I hold. I'm sent down here for a reason. And sometimes we struggle to figure out what our purpose is, which is real interesting because I really don't think the birds wake up in the morning and be like, what is my purpose? They just live out their purpose. That tree I was telling you about in my front yard, I don't think it wakes up and thinks, I wonder what my purpose is today. And I think us as human beings have this unique hardwiring to search for what it is that we believe our purpose is. Individually, collectively, how do we get here on this universe? I mean, it's all kind of crazy thoughts. Okay. So today we're going to dive in and hopefully this can help you figure out what does purpose and what does discovering your purpose mean to you? Okay. So y'all just hang on. We're going to talk about it. Okay. Well, first off, I want to talk about that purpose is a very personal journey. So what it means will differ from person to person. What I think my purpose is, or me discovering my purpose and the journey for me finding my purpose is going to be maybe different than your journey. And that's okay. But we all crave purpose. Humans are hardwired individuals that we want to seek meaning in their lives because if this is no purpose, then why in the heck I'm here? And having purpose is part of what makes us fulfilled and connected because sometimes we can connect to other people for a common purpose. So I'll share a little bit about my own journey, not only about this purpose-driven life book that I read back when I was 16 years old, and I've probably reread again. And that wasn't all that helps me clarify my purpose. But, it's interesting as I've walked through my journey, how I have been able to really find a lot of purpose in helping people. And I think about my career path and then just the scope of the volunteer work I've done, the experiences I've had. I mean, I've gotten to go overseas a good bit and work with different people and different cultures and have found, again, a lot of purpose in helping people. And what I found is that a lot of my purpose, I feel that I've been here to do, is to really inspire hope that things can be different, things can change, to give people that encouragement that even though life is hard, things can get better. And, my purpose is interesting. And I won't say this is my whole purpose. I'm in the process of, honing in and discovering my purpose even right now. I think you go through different seasons and your struggle, wrestle, grapple with, okay, things may have changed. What's my purpose now? But I think you can often find themes in your life that kind of all relate to each other. It's like the golden thread through your lifetime. And I know for me, a golden thread through my lifetime, and I'm not trying to sound Mother Teresa because I'm not perfect and I have not figured it out by any means, folks. But there is some purpose and meaning that I get from being able to support another human being along the journey. Now, I think people can do this in a lot of ways. And that might not be what you feel like is your ideal purpose, but that is what has given me a lot of motivation to move forward. So I want you to think, before I kind of give you some clues to finding your purpose, what do you think your purpose is? And it's okay if you don't have the answer yet, guys. It's the journey. It's not like get to the destination or figure it out overnight. But these are questions that I think the more we reflect and get deep and we dig deep and try to answer these questions, the more I think we will have clarity. And then when you have clarity of purpose, it's interesting how life can start to align in different ways, or you can find ways to retell the story of your life. I've walked through many hard things with people, and I've had the honor and privilege of hearing a lot of hard stories. I know a lot of overcomers, and I've heard a lot of resiliency over the years. And it really is the gift of being a professional helper as you learn how people can get through a lot of hard. And you learn about what also is good. And one of the things that I found that really helps people make sense of hard things is if they feel there is a sense of purpose behind it. They might not know what that purpose is. They may not be for sure of how to make sense of this really hard thing. But if they can find purpose in the pain or purpose in the uncertainty, I find that they have that hope to keep on going. So let's talk about clues to finding your purpose, because purpose, guess what, does not show up as a flashing neon sign. I used to always say, dear Lord, please make neon signs to show me which way to go. Seriously, I used to really wish that either God would give me these big neon signs that says, do not go any further, or a big neon sign that says you are in the right direction. But as you well know, life does not end up like that. In fact, it's often revealed through small clues in our lives. And I would say fortune cookies for me. That's a whole nother story. But seriously, I used to say that I was going to write a book and it was going to be called God Speaks to Me in Fortune Cookies, because I'll never forget when I was unexpectedly pregnant and I wasn't sure that I was pregnant then. I got a fortune cookie that said, small things are about to get bigger. And look, there was other fortune cookies I could tell you about. But, purpose, I don't think is always comes through a fortune cookie, right? But it's often revealed through these small things in our lives, these small clues. And here are 3 places to look for those clues. Number 1, ask yourself, what lights you up? And I'm thinking about light me up, yay. That thing that really excites you, that you can do for hours, that makes you lose track of time. Or I can even say that you could do all day and be like, if I got paid for this or didn't get paid for this, I'd be excited about it. Because, this is also things that you could be doing. So what lights you up? What is something that just energizes you as a human being? And it could be all kinds of things. It could be fishing. I have a very important person in my life currently, my boyfriend, and he loves to fish. It lights him up. Them little fishies are just he could go out there for hours and get lost in time and probably spend weeks on a boat with a fish. Okay. And so you have to think about stuff that lights you up. It could be the people in your life. It could be helping people. It could be, honestly, solving big problems, or it could be finding taking complex problems and breaking them down to simple solutions. I mean, I don't know what lights you up. You could love walking. It could light you up to go, I don't know, travel. That's mine. Okay. I like travel. But, what is it that lights you up? And think deep, folks. Think deep. Think past maybe some hobbies and stuff, and that could be there too, but think what lights you up. Number 2, place to look for the clues is, what are your strengths? Now, this is often hard, but I think, what are your gifts? What are your talents? Those are often connected to your purpose, believe it or not. And you might be like, well, Christy, I don't know if I got any strengths or talents. Okay, this is what you go do. And my mentors or some coaches in the past have asked me to go do this, and it was kind of painful, but it was actually cool. Go ask some people. Go ask social media if you want to. Like, what do you see as my strengths and talents? Because sometimes we can't always see our strengths, or sometimes if we're really hard on ourselves, we don't always acknowledge our strengths. But go ask some people close to you. If you were to pick my top 3 strengths, my top 3 gifts, my top 3 talents, what would you say those are? And then start just making a list, because that's also going to give you clues. And you're going to see people have themes about what they see in you as strengths and gifts. But it's also your perspective of, what do you see as strengths and gifts? Take some time, take a piece of paper out, and really dive into this question. The third place to look for clues about your purpose is, what challenges have you overcome? Sometimes our greatest purpose comes from our greatest pain. Oh my gosh, did I say that earlier? But yeah, I mean, it really does. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I heard a mentor, Rory Vaden, once say, you are most powerfully positioned to serve the person you once were. And I think about that because I can think about some of the pain that I've went through in life. And part of the reason why I'm passionate and I feel like a lot of purpose behind this is because it was a painful place. I don't always share a lot of my story. I've shared a little bit on here, but like, I have known struggle. Now, maybe sometimes I might look to the other person. I was just having this conversation at a women's business conference I was at last week. Somebody was like, well, I look at my life and I compare myself to somebody over here, and I don't think that my struggle is as bad as their struggle. So I don't understand why I need to take care of myself, or I mean, I give myself grace enough because I'm thinking to myself, well, what do I have to complain about? But I think when you're thinking about your purpose coming out of your pain, you have to remind yourself that it's your pain, and pain looks different for everybody. This is not the comparison, contrast, segue here. No, that's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to say, what have you found purpose in? I can think of some people that have created. I went to something earlier this year. It was called Remarkable Women, and I was awarded that for our area. And what was cool, though, is I got to go to this place in Los Angeles and meet a bunch of remarkable women. And some of the finalists for this award, because they give one like overarching award, what was cool, and I hope I don't get emotional about this, but what was so cool is that most of those people that did these incredible things, and I'm talking about like these nonprofits that served who they weren't once were, or they had a loss of a child. I mean, just some tragic situations happened in their life. But that tragedy pushed them towards purpose. And you don't have to have a tragedy to find purpose, but it was amazing to see the impact these women were making from this experience in their life that was very hard. And so I want you to think about yourself. What lights you up? What are your strengths? And what challenges have you overcame? And sometimes those things can leave clues as to what you feel your purpose is at this stage in life. And maybe journal about these questions and start noticing some patterns of what is actually linking up. It's okay if your purpose changes. That's why I say, like, where your purpose is now. I see a lot of people, myself included, that have struggled with identity shifts where you may, what I call, lose a former identity and you transition into a new one. So this could be like, I used to be this boss of all these people and now I'm not. Or I used to have this prominent role in the community, but now I don't have it. I used to be this volunteer, but now it's not thing in my life. I used to have children in the home. Now they're gone. I used to not have children. Now I do. So I mean, like, I used to be single. Now I'm married. I used to be married. Now I'm divorced. I used to have this person in my life. Now they're gone. And so as life experiences happen, it's important to remember that it's okay if your purpose changes. Purpose isn't fixed. It can evolve and grow, just like you evolve and grow. And as you experience a life, I mean, let's normalize, folks, of not having it all figured out at once. This is serious. I mean, I was talking to somebody today on my little walk because I couldn't run today. It was hard at the gym. I was struggling running, folks. I don't know what was going on with my legs, but they just didn't want to move. So I started walking. And me and the girl who happened to walk with me, we were talking about just like her child who's about to graduate and go on to the world and get a job, graduating from college. And I was just reflecting on my experience of my early 20s. And I was thinking to myself, like, I didn't have it all figured out at all. I still don't have it all figured out. And my purpose looked way different in my 20s than it has in my 30s. And I know it's going to look different in my 40s and beyond. I think that we have to leave space for how our own sense of purpose can shift over time and how each chapter has brought something valuable. I think about, as a mom, my daughter is now a teenager, and I don't have as much, like, I don't have to be as hands-on with her as much. I mean, she still needs my time, energy, and effort, but like, she can bathe herself, she can clean herself, like, she can get herself dressed, she can get herself fed. Very different purpose in like my role as a mother than when she was really young. And I had to make sure I had eyeballs on her at 24/7. So remember that your purpose can shift, and that's okay. And I want you to do this reflective exercise. I mean, it sounds like you're going to be journaling on this, folks, if you are trying to figure this out. But give yourself permission to explore new passions and directions. I once heard somebody, I don't know who it is, so I can't give them credit, but they're like, I try to do a new thing like at least once a month, once a week, once a day, because sometimes we don't even know about opportunities or things that really we could get behind and feel purposeful in unless we explore. And exploring can be scary. I every time I go on a trip, I feel like I have some people in my life that are like, Christy, are you going to be okay? And don't get me wrong, there's sometimes some thoughts when I go and explore new places that I still have nervousness, or I don't know this place. What if something not great happens? But the truth is, I have to explore because I'm never going to know if I don't give myself permission to explore new passions and directions. So another thing that can help is action. It often helps you get clarity. Okay. So, we talk about clarity, and having clarity of purpose helps you walk the path, but you don't have to find your purpose. You can create it. Okay. You won't find your purpose by sitting still. It's not going to happen, folks. You've got to sometimes take action and try new things. Purpose comes from doing, not just thinking. And the more experiences you gather, the clearer the path becomes. And this is very true. It's been true in my life. The more I've done, the more I've gained clarity. In fact, it's been my whole life, actually. As I'm reflecting on this conversation I had this morning, I remember when I went into my 20s, and especially when I went into the college track, because I had done really well in school and gotten some scholarships. And, I went into college undecided. I did not know. I was not ready to decide my life path at that age, and I didn't know. But I tried new things. And then when I failed chemistry, I realized that was not the path for me. But you figure it out a little bit at a time, and then you try the next thing, and you're either going to figure it out like, this is not for me, this is for me. And I think we really need to give people permission to start figuring things out, trying things. And a lot of times you're going to get clearer. It's going to get more clarity the more you do it. So I'm going to ask you to start with some small experiments, volunteer, try a new hobby, or say yes to something you've never done before. Each experience is going to give you feedback. And I love this quote by Marie Forleo. She says, clarity comes from engagement, not thought. So just think about that. But think about it and then do something. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Okay. So also, purpose is often about service. Many people find their purpose in serving others, and it could be through your career, a cause, or even a way you show up for your friends and family. How making a difference in the lives of others helps you find deeper meaning in your own. So think about also not only things that you can say yes to, something you've never done before, but think about how you can serve. What can you contribute that would make the world a little better, even in small ways? And when I say small ways, folks, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You don't have to run off and create a nonprofit tomorrow or, say I'm going to commit the rest of my life to living in, the middle of nowhere and supporting people. Okay. It's small. I can't tell you the times that my life has been impacted by people who have done small things consistently. I'll never forget, there was a lady at a church I used to go to. And one thing she would do every time it was somebody's birthday or anniversary, she would call them. She would call them. She was somebody that stayed at home, so she had the ability to do this. And she would call people. And she would just say, "Hey, I'm thinking about you today. I just want you to know happy birthday or happy anniversary." And I'm telling you what, that was the most impactful thing one of the most impactful things I've ever experienced. It was very small. I mean, it took time, but that was a way that she was making the world a better place, even in a small way, consistently over time. So when you think about how purpose is often related to service, and I really do find it is, I feel like when we can connect it to service in some way, it makes for a such more meaningful, richer life. But what can you contribute that would make the world a little better, or somebody's world? It doesn't have to be the world as whole. It could be the world around you, the person next to you, your child, your spouse, your friend. In what way can you contribute that would make you feel like, yeah, I feel like I served somebody today? And then after you discover your purpose by exploring what I find purpose in, what's purposeful for me, then we want to stay aligned with it. Because once you start to uncover your purpose, it's important to stay with alignment. And I say alignment a lot because I have been in situations where my purpose, my values were not in alignment with the people or the places around me. And it created so much toxicity, frustration, anger, resentment. The list goes on and on, And what I learned in this is that staying aligned with your purpose brings a lot of fulfillment and meaning in your life. So make some time to check in with yourself regularly and ask yourself if you're still on the path that feels right. Maybe try a purpose check in every few months and ask yourself, does this still light me up? Am I serving in a way that feels fulfilling? I know in the past 5 years, I think about 5 years in a trajectory because I guess that's like how long that I've been in this business path. And that's really interesting. But the way I have served others is very different now than it was 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 8 years ago, 10 years ago, 12 years ago. I mean, I've been helping profession for a while, folks. And then the way I've served my family has changed. I remember I used to cook. Those days have gone, but I used to do that and I used to serve my family in that way. It's really interesting because there will be times where your purpose is going to shift. But I think, again, it's not fixed. So you can ask yourself in this season, does this still light me up? Do I feel fulfilled? If not, what is the things I need to do that change? What are the things that I might need to do to be more aligned? And so remember, sometimes you need a pivot to stay in alignment with your purpose. That time that I had that job that was really overwhelming me, I had to pivot to stay aligned with my purpose. And I'm so glad I did. It was scary, but I'm glad I pivoted. And so I think it's reflecting on your life and saying, okay, once I clearly define what I feel my purpose is, how can I stay in alignment with that? And then how can I check in with myself and shift it when I need to? I just want to wrap us up today because, we all about purpose and we want to be purposeful with our time. And I need to let y'all go make some action and gain some clarity along the way. But here's some closing thoughts. Discovering your purpose is not a one-time event, folks. It's a lifelong journey that evolves as you do. And the key is to stay curious, take action, and trust that each step will guide you where you need to go. You're already on the path, whether you realize it or not. So keep on stepping. And I challenge you to take one step this week towards discovering or realigning with your purpose, whether it's journaling, like we talked about before, trying something new, or reflecting on what lights you up. Just start exploring. So, guys, Thanks for tuning in. If this episode sparks something in you, share it with a friend. We want to bring friends along the journey. And keep exploring, keep growing, and keep being inspired. Until next time. That's all for today on Inspiring Possible. If you found a little inspiration today, please go on over to iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you tune in to listen to leave us a comment and rate us. Also, make sure and link up with me at inspiringpossible.com to get the free Dream It, Write It, Do It workbook. And don't forget to follow us on social media and share this with anyone who needs to be inspired. Remember, if you can believe it, it's possible.